Right. So lovely to see you. MC, I thought you were on vacation. Are you just able to plug in from your vacation home or?
No, I'm on vacation next week.
Ah,
Um, yeah, yeah.
all
This
right.
week I've been able to move things around.
Awesome. So we're happy to see you. It's really great. This is kind of a lead up to, because March we have a couple of extra classes, right? And then this is a lead up to what will start on, I believe it's either April 5th or April 11th, where we start on a landscape series. So we did this little cute landscape last week. Now I'm going to be talking to you about vanishing points. We're going to be talking about vanishing points again, and we're going to start with a practice exercise. Let me pop this up so you guys can see it. So we're going to go, this is another one from that same book, The Painting from Light and Shadow. We're going to eventually paint this, but today we're just going to focus on drawing it. And I'm going to walk you through some steps to understand what you need to know to be able to draw a scene like this, right? How is that? So we're going to actually start with a piece of paper and a pencil, not watercolor paper. So just grab some scratch paper, anything, just as long as it doesn't have lines on it. And you're going to see that we are going here. Don't see this. What I want us to wind up with at the end of class, I'll wait till you guys get back, is the drawing that looks like this, right? So that we're ready to paint in our next session. So we're going to be really just hammering on the drawing because that's important. So if you remember from our class a couple of weeks ago, where we talked about the building with the two vanishing points, right? Where everything goes off to this like single point on the horizon. And if you're above a point, it comes exactly to the horizon from the top down. And if you're below the point, it comes up, right? So this is a single vanishing point perspective lesson. This is what happens when you only have one vanishing point, meaning that everything is really going. So we don't have any structures here beyond structures that are going, back, right? And we've got a road, and then we've got a eye line horizon, and we've got a natural horizon. We've got some clouds, right? So let's talk about how to construct this, because we're then going to use that to construct a black and white version of this. Okay, so it's going to be helpful. I promise. So go ahead and draw a kind of square, a big square on your paper. I'm going to put all these underneath, except for you, which we need to look at. So I'm drawing a big square on my paper. I wanted to take up most of my paper. You want it to be a square. I know it's kind of a wonky square, but um, so the first thing to do when you're sketching a scene that kind of goes back to a single vanishing point like this, and guys, let me know if I'm going too fast or if you don't understand something. Please jump in. That's critical in these lessons. The first thing we're going to establish is the eye level horizon line. And what is the eye level horizon? The eye level horizon is if you're standing here looking this direction, the eye level horizon is where like all the lines starting wide here and getting narrower hit a single vanishing point. And in this case, there's only one, and everything goes to that vanishing point. So the first thing, of course, we have to, and the eye level horizon is where the sky meets the ground, right? So it's the same with this vertical thing. If all of the lines go to a single point, it's also that this point is always located at the eye level horizon, which is where the sky meets the ground. Now, we happen to have two horizon lines. We've got the eye level horizon line, and then we've got the natural horizon line, which is different. That's like, these far off mountains and sometimes trees that kind of sit up and go and like stuff. But the first thing we need to do is put in our eye level horizon. And the first thing to know about a dynamic landscape composition is that the eye level horizon is you never set it at the halfway point of your paper. Never, ever, ever. It's either below or it's above. There's something about putting the eye level horizon right here in the center that makes things static and it does not read well. So in this particular case, can you guys tell, is the eye level horizon, which is here, is it lower or is it higher than the halfway point?
Lower.
Lower,
This
yeah. Yeah, lower in this case, which means there's a big emphasis on the sky and also what's kind of happening up here. So the first thing we're going to do is locate our eye level horizon line, just a straight line across. It's lower than halfway. All right. And then our vanishing point is going to be in the center of that, about halfway. Gosh, maybe a little bit over here. Because this is a very rhythmic composition in which everything goes here. And of course, we know, right, that this part of this is to convey 3 dimensions on a flat surface, right? We know we can't actually draw in, right? We can't draw forward or backward. We can only draw left or right. That's all we can do. So when we are conveying something going back in space, this part of the road, we know literally is not bigger than this part of the road, but it looks like it, right? Same with these telephone poles and this fence as it goes back. We know that these are not actually smaller, but they appear smaller to us. And when we're translating 3 dimensions to 2, we have to show them kind of rising up off the page, which is why the vanishing point is extremely helpful. So this is your vanishing point. So for me to figure out how to set this road, I need to look at where the points of the road sit in relation to my box. They do not start here and here. One comes in to about here on this side. And it's a little bit narrower gap. It's not an equal gap. These are not the same spaces. If you see this, and you'll see, right, these are not the same size. This one's comes in a little bit more to the left. This comes in a little bit less to the right. So I establish my vanishing point, my horizon line, and like the starting points of my composition first. And then I take a straight edge. In this case, it's just a watercolor painting that I did, just using the back. And I line up my straight edge with my 2 dots here to draw my road. And what's nice about this is once I identify where my vanishing point is and where these 2 points are, it's just a matter of lining them up. I don't have to check that measurement. I already know it's happening. So go ahead and get this first bit in, and I want to see it. So send it across the thread so I can see it. And make sure this point is, I'll tell you what the mistakes are that people make. People put this dots right here, which is not what's happening. The line is, it'll make your road look really wonky. People make these 2 dots the same equal size on either side. This is in the center, but this is definitely below center, and this one is not the same size as this one, which gives you a more organic feeling of the road. So let's see how that goes. Let's see. Perfect, MC. Perfect. Perfect. Agatha, go ahead and send it over. When you can, you got it? Am I not? Wait. Where are
I
you?
was just loading.
Yes, I'm sorry. You're right. You're working with, we're not going to try and pressure you. Oh, nice. You've got a little, so we're not going to be painting this, Agatha, just so that you know.
I know.
But why
I
not?
know.
Why not? You're
But I
absolutely
was thinking, yeah, I just wanted I just felt
Why
like
not?
playing with colors after class, so this is
That's
just
a perfect idea. I love that.
yeah.
That makes me so happy. Okay, so great. So now you'll notice that every line, every angled line is going to start somewhere different and it's going to end here. So all we really need to do are locate these points on our little grid here. This one, what you'll see is that this goes straight up to the vanishing point, but things do change with this kind of gridded line. It's bigger and they're farther apart here. And notice as we get smaller, they get skinnier and closer together. So when I'm sketching this, I line this up down here. Excuse me. Right. And then this gets a little bit smaller. And then much smaller, it gets skinnier and closer until I can only really see lines and they're almost together. So those spaces, you'll see the same thing is happening here with the fence and here, excuse me, with the telephone pole. Hi, Anik. You know how to catch up on this. I know you've done this. So pop in and just get caught up. I'm not going to check it. I'm going to show you how to do everything that's under the horizon line, and then we'll talk about the other things. So to get these lines, I need to check. Here, I'm going to mark these so they're really clear. To get my fence on this side, I need to come up definitely higher than this width. So I'm going to go here, here, and here. And the key thing is I want to have this much space, right? So you don't want to bring your fence up too high, but you also want to be able to maintain these shapes, these shapes that are next to the fence, right? So don't bring your fence up too high. You will notice, I'm looking at it. Yeah, I think that's in pretty good shape. And then once again, I'm just going to take my straight edge. No work here except, lining things up correctly. I'll tell you, when I used to, and I'm going to the same, right, location, I used to measure each one of these angles. I figured out pretty early that the angles were different. Each one of these angles is different, right? Depending on where I'm standing. I used to have to check each one. But once I realized, I said, hi, Sandra, nice to see you. Once I put the vanishing point in, I realized I didn't have to measure these angles. I just had to figure out where they started from. Now, once you get these angles in, right, these are angled lines, you're going to put in your fence posts, but your fence posts, like these, are going to be straight up and down. They're going to be vertically straight up and down. And they are also going to get narrower and smaller as you move away. So that means the space between them is going to get, oh, and this one, if you'll notice, that one wasn't straight up and down. It was kind of leaning a little bit. The tendency is going to be to make your lines won't be straight up. That one is too. Okay, so your tendency is to want to lean those lines rather than put them straight up and down. In a situation like this, the vertical lines in a composition are always going to be straight, meaning they line up here and here, right? There we go. So go ahead and get your fence in. And then I want to take a look at it. Yeah, it's easy to kind of lose what is up and down when these things are horizontally or bending. They're kind of angled. So it's important that these straight up and down lines be pretty good, straight up and down. And I will be right back, you guys. Okay. Where are we at? Let's see. Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Leah.
Just send over what you're working on whenever you.
It's a messy goat. I don't know what to do with it.
Okay, hold on just a second. Perfect, Agatha. Perfect. Good. I like the way you're thinking about this space and this space. Very nice. Well done. I'm going to stop and show you how to do this set of things, the telephone poles, because it follows a slightly different trajectory. I actually drew this line in to this composition. Really, the only lines that should be showing up are here and here because they're telephone wires. Go ahead, MC and Ani, go ahead and stop for just a second so I can show you the next step. I can move Agata forward and then I'll give you time to catch up. So the difference here is that if things rise above the vanishing point, then they go down, right? So that's the difference between here and here, but they still go to the same point. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to figure out where this point and this point is, and then also this point, which is this line I added in. And I've added this line in, kind of running it along the bottom to see like how far up the telephone poles angle. So this is down here, right? This is up towards the top. And then once again, it's literally just lining up. Telephone pole number one. Okay, it looks a little wobbly. I might redo that one. I wasn't holding my paper tight enough. No, I'm kind of intentionally not using a ruler. Part of the reason is I can't read any of my rulers anymore. They all have too much paint on them. But also because I want you to move away from numbers as evaluating how far apart things are and more kind of a visual representation of how far down is this, right? And that's that's harder to assess. We tend to make these things bigger sometimes or smaller than they should be, depending on where we think they are. And then, oh yes, and then one more here. So that takes training. And then once again, we've got our first telephone pole, which is once again straight up and down. It kind of comes a little bit above this top wire. And it's a straight up and down thing, right? And the little T here, this little horizontal line actually goes across and hits both sections. I'm going to have to erase my little line in here, right? And if I want to show 3 dimensions like this one does, I'm going to draw a third line here to show the side and the front of this stick of wood. And then I come over here. So again, straight down, skinnier. I probably can't see that third side here. This comes up a little higher, and then this goes straight across. And then closer, thinner. Right, a little bit thinner. Still can see the woods. Closer. Until they almost kind of appear to be on top of each other. There we go. So that's so go ahead and catch up there. Sandra, this would be a good place to send me what you're working on. Oh, those guys will take it.
It's a horrible goat. I started it in gouache, and then it was really frustrating, and I was looking forward to continuing watercolor, which I did. But then I did my usual thing and did a background that kind of messed it up. It's not great anyway. Lado said to continue in gouache, but because now it's messed up in watercolor. And you can see the goat is too opaque. So today is Friday.
Oh, I don't know, Sandra. I see what you mean. Because
The sky there is a hell of a mess.
Yeah. I agree with Lotto. Your probably best bet is to soften. Here, hold on. I'm going to pop this up so I can show you, if you don't mind. Although I don't think I love the background and I love the bush that you've got in the front. I'm not bothered by any of the things that you're by, but you know me, I like a kind of looser.
No, like another bell. It's like more intense.
Yeah.
So this is what happened when I was using a smaller brush, because I thought maybe I'm using too big a brush. When I used too big, but anyway, yeah, it went wrong.
Yeah. So what I would do if I were you is focus on gouache, on softening these edges, right? So they're not you don't have these strong, swoopy, hard edge lines.
Dark because that's gouache. That
right.
Gouache.
So use gouache. Try going, and then here, of course. So what I would do is try softening your edges with lighter and darker gouache. I mean, if this is the one that you learn from, practice hard and soft edges. That to me is kind of the best shot you have, and use less water. And do you have tubed gouache?
I do actually, but I also got some in a palette.
Right.
So also, I tell you what also very much hampered me with gouache.
Right.
Is that goat is like it's off-white in fact, and
right.
I've got colors like that in watercolor, but I'm still crap at mixing. So I was very hampered in gouache because I was mixing these colors, but you see it's a bit too sustained.
Yeah. I get it. So is this like yellow ochre or sienna?
Oh, yeah, it's like I can't remember what I mixed.
Okay.
Something like that. Something like that.
Or a burnt sienna and maybe a little blue?
No, it not be a burnt sienna. It's and there's no
Yeah.
blue. No, it
Okay.
was. I don't even think. It was white with some kind of brown. Well, like
White with some kind of brown.
not brown, some kind of
Yeah.
ochre.
Some of the natural, one of the natural.
Right.
Um, I would just focus on softening wherever you can with gouache. White, and then maybe a touch of burnt sienna and blue and white down here to kind of soften the, right? So you need to get both edges wet. And then
Okay.
kind of scuff the white into, so get the dark wet first here. And then scuff the white across, kind of like
Okay.
with a flat brush. And you're going to do the same thing up here, right? And this, you could totally get away with.
Yeah, because that's a shadow. It's not
yeah.
a goat is white.
Well, I know, but the white is kind of
Mine
under
looks
the
like
shadow.
a cow.
Yeah. You just, in my view, the best learning that you can get from this
Is
to
to
keep
do the
working
gouache.
on it is to soften with gouache. And yeah, and you could mix this with ultramarine blue and burnt umber and maybe a little bit of white, and then get white. So so dark in here, but you might, it may be, I want you to be okay with it, if it doesn't work
ruining it.
out, that's okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like
because it's not the beauty. And then
It's-
shall I try do the background in gouache?
No, I think the background's just fine. Work
But
on the
what
goat.
about above the goat and down below the bell?
That's fine.
The bell.
It's fine. It doesn't bother me. There are variations in sky. I wouldn't worry about that. Focus on pushing the goat forward with softer edges and then see how you feel about it.
And what about the stone he's standing on?
This one?
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that yet. I'm worried about your goat right here.
Okay.
That's where if you work that, then you're going to see what else needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? Soften these edges, try with gouache.
And I should use a fresh from the tube, right? Particularly what's in the palette.
Yes, it should not be, yeah, don't get it wet with water. You kind of want it to be a little tacky so you can make that soft edge.
Got it.
Yeah, try it.
Anyway. Thank you. Yeah,
and it's
well.
okay.
I'm not attached to this.
Yeah, and it's
not...
fuck around with it a little bit. See if you can get that gouache to make some soft edges for you.
Thank you.
Anik, this is all your, oh my gosh, what happened here? Did you lose all your fence posts?
I added some
Okay.
now, but
number
yeah.
one, most of these are not straight up and down. This one is, this one is not.
This one
These
not.
are. This is also not straight up and down. Look, see? So erase it and make them straight up and down. For help on that, which I'm sure everybody's going to need. Here, hold on. Let me stop the share and I can show you. For help on this, you can actually line up your straight edge on the top and the bottom. And you want to make sure that this point is equal to this point. You know what I mean? They're the same distance from the edge. So you can check that with your pencil. Here's where my edge is. And I'm coming down here and I'm like, yep, that's the same. So I know that's straight up and down. Got it? I know, whenever you try to skip out on your painting skills are just really exploding, Anik, but I notice you slough on sometimes you push too quickly on the drawing and then you lose it. So I'm pushing you on this only because your painting is so good. We want your drawing to support your painting. Also, you've been drawing a lot of trees, which are organically kind of like this, right? This is a tree after it stopped being a tree. It started being. Hi, Diana. Good to see you.
Hi.
Good to see you.
I almost didn't make it because I can hardly get into the room on crutches. I broke my ankle.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Wait, I heard this. Shit, I'm sorry. That's
Yeah.
terrible.
So I don't know how I'm gonna manage this, but we stay in here now, Sonny. I can't go up.
Maybe you just move a cot into the room and you never leave. And have Frank cook for once and send you food.
No, thank you. No,
Oh,
thank
he's
you.
not a good cook?
No.
Hi, Diana.
Hey,
How convenient for him.
yeah, Jack is helping with cooking and whatever, cleaning.
Good.
And walking Sunny.
Yeah, kind of, but she doesn't want to walk without me.
Does it hurt? Does it hurt, Diana? Or is it, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
it hurts.
I'm
Yes.
so sorry. That's terrible. You're the person this shouldn't happen to. Why does this happen to people who are awful? Why
Yes,
don't only awful
we
It
people
know.
have bad
happens
things
to
happen to
people
them?
that are active.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That sounds
And-
awful. I forget, how did this happen?
Well, I jumped down from the ledge from the other room, the other part of the studio, because there are no stairs yet. There are no
Yeah.
steps down, so I jumped, had put cardboard over the stepping stones below, not to drag in dirt back and forth. And it masked that one stepping stone was higher than the others, and I
Fuck.
apparently stepped on the edge of that one.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. That's terrible.
It happened.
Agata looks perfect. You can add in the last bits of your composition, and while we're waiting for everybody to finish, you can maybe color it in a little bit. So to do that, you're going to add your horizon line in, which is really just these wavy line, right? You're also going to erase this bottom line because it isn't really there, although it follows this pattern. Right. And then this is key. I want you to add in your clouds. Your clouds, if you notice, you can see the bottom, two sides of the clouds, the bottom and the side, right? Or the bottom and the top. And the bottom is darker and the top is lighter. That's because the light right now is coming straight down from here. And so it's lighting the top of the clouds and the bottoms are fluffy. So these are actually key. And we don't think of clouds as having sides. We think of them as just being one, right? Yeah, surface, but everything has sides. And this is one of those ways. You can add in your clouds. And then and she shows it in this sketch really well. This is from a book on called The Only Oil Painting Course You'll Ever Need. And although I rarely used her painting exercises, I thought her drawing exercises were brilliant. And it's a good observation for you that if you, it's a good observation that if you've got a painting book that has a lot of good drawing exercises, that's a good painting book. Because that is a teacher who understands, I need to know how to do this. All right, so go ahead and finish. And then you can, if you want to, Agata, just color it in while everybody else is waiting. We're going to get to the harder part of this exercise, which is to translate this to this, right? This is going to be a little bit harder because it's not as even, but we're going to use some of those same principles. Oh, Diana, I'm just sorry. That sucks. How long are you in the boot?
6 weeks.
Ooh. Jesus.
6 weeks. And I'm going to try to go to an art exhibit tonight because I have that. I mean, it's going to be 100 people there because it's 100 painting.
That's for your
Yeah,
submission.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you
Yeah.
go, Anik. Looks great. Looks good. You got it. I will say also, Anik, I'm going to hold this up for just a second. There's another tweak I want you to be aware of. This is a detail. Here, hold on. Take a look at this. this really, these need to get quite, if you look on the source, you'll
Yeah.
see that these get very skinny and dark and
Yes,
single
yes, yes,
lined
yes, I have
and
to fix
close
that.
together.
Mhm.
So that's really what you want to
Mhm.
kind of emulate. It's funny what happens when you stop looking, right? When we stop, and it's a little
Or
hard
you
to
rush.
see. To be fair, it's hard to see here because it's a little bit far away. So let me put this down just a little bit. Actually, you guys can see this. I don't need to look at mine. There you go. Is that easier? A little bit easier to see?
Mhm.
We also have it on the thread, I think. I put it on the thread,
Yeah.
so you should be able to look at it. But let's put that down. So to be fair, you can't really see it. So, so you get a pass on that one. Great job. This vanishing point concept, as you learn to start to draw from real three-dimensional things, you're going to find it's really going to save time for you. Because once you determine where this is, everything goes to it. So it's going to be much easier to figure out where to start and stop your lines. I mean, there's a whole other level that you guys don't have to do with this exercise right now because these have been determined for you. We're working from 2D to 2D. Once you start working from 3D, you have to start figuring out where these lines start. But there are techniques for doing that, and it gets easier as you do it more. Diana, what are you working on?
I'm gonna try to finesse the cat. I don't know.
I think
what-
Lotto gave you some good advice on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, darkening the background on a black cat, I don't know how good advice that is. Actually,
Can you send it to me again and I could take a look and maybe nuance that a little bit for you?
so I don't think that's a great idea, actually.
Well, send it over and
I
I'll
agree.
see.
I like the background as it is,
Right.
that blue. And it's
Perfect,
luminous. In
MC.
fact, you made it, you asked Diana to make it more luminous.
Yes, I did. I did. But I'm wondering if he's trying, I want to think about what he's saying. He sometimes is shortcutting, but he has an idea that is valid, and I'm just looking to see. That looks great, MC. Go ahead and add in your clouds, and then we're gonna go, once we're all there, we're gonna go to the next phase.
Sent it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
I really want to finesse the cat more.
Well, then work on the, yes, then work on the cat. I like these elements. Hold on, I'm gonna pop this up so you can see, you guys can see this for a second. I really like these elements you're starting to add in down here, right here. These are nice
Yeah, it
here.
doesn't.
So maybe there's a couple you can add in to make these feel less hard, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then maybe a
the
spot or
contrast
two.
the contrast between the front of the cat and the body of the cat, that doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
So just
feel
push
that
those
doesn't
edges,
work.
look at those edges and see what they need.
Yeah.
You might want to streak a teeny tiny bit more of pink in here.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I'm gonna work on the ears. The ears are
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah. But they're
And
mostly done.
I don't have any whiskers either yet, but I'm not adding whiskers until the rest is done.
Exactly. I mean, look at, he totally have got his face. That cute little grin of his, that little muggy, I've been bit by something or hit something or something happened to me. Like, and I'm still grinning. It's very cute.
He's
It's
a
nice.
cutie pie.
You got it. You've got it. It's just the details now.
Beautiful, Diana.
Yeah,
And
it really
and
is
he
great.
Totally
It's
looks
quite great.
badass.
Anik,
You know.
Yeah,
Yes.
Totally badass.
he is a
I've got,
badass.
Anik,
Yeah.
I've got a
He's
question
a
for you.
badass.
Sure.
I see that
We
Olga
love
is
our,
leaving.
that's a cat distribution for sure.
Do you know what she's gonna do?
I think she's gonna freelance in a way, work for other companies. But I've met her last week, and we had a chat because she just said that she's leaving. The same goes with Natalia. Natalia, if you remember,
Yeah.
Natalia,
Yes.
Natalia also is leaving.
Who is the
Oh, what a
first one
shame.
you're talking about?
But
Olga-
Natalia and Olga are leaving.
Oh,
Olga and
Olga is
Natalia.
leaving.
Olga, yeah.
She's
I
leaving
kind of
Reuters,
thought
but not
Olga had
leaving.
already left. It's
But
interesting.
Leaving
she's staying
Reuters,
in
like
Poland,
that.
right?
Yes, for now, yes, because also part of her family is here, so
Oh,
so
really?
for sure.
Oh,
Mhm.
is it a
The-
niece? A
Yeah.
niece and a
The
sister-in-law.
sister-in-law, the sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her parents and her brother is okay?
To my knowledge, yes.
Wow.
And his brother too, her brother
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, for now, and you know, for now, yeah, and hopefully he will be also.
Yeah. It's so scary what's
It
happening.
is. It is really very much,
Thank you. I
especially
saw that.
with developments.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, yes. What a nightmare.
Yeah.
Exactly. But she seemed quite positive about the change, and it felt like it's time simply.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't
presumably
think that-
she has offers or she knows where to look.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she also studied in Poland, so she knows you know, how to move around.
Right. Does she speak Polish? by
Perfectly.
now? Oh, wow. Did she
Yeah,
speak
perfect.
Polish before when she first got here?
Yes, because she studied here. So honestly saying, that was also very, very helpful. But no, she speaks perfect Polish. So
That helps, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Wow. That's so big.
That's
big
You know,
news.
it's like basically 1 week and 2 people, and it always just like feels like
Who were like kind of art class,
Yeah.
stalwarts
At
for
the
a
very
long time,
beginning.
and also
Mhm.
your people.
Yeah.
I know, your friends.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll miss them.
Definitely.
Yeah, I haven't seen Olga for the longest time. She used to pop, but being honest, Sandra and I haven't been painting, so
So she
No.
hasn't been popping in.
No, but she hasn't been popping in for years
Yeah,
and we've not
for
been
years
printing
already.
just recently.
Yeah, but she still paints. So to my knowledge,
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
she's
I
still
saw what she
painting.
does here.
yeah, but she
Yeah.
does it in
Yeah, she's
in
still
different
painting.
setup. Mhm.
yeah.
And she does a lot of digital work.
She experienced, she had a trauma. This is very traumatic for her for obvious reasons. So,
Wow.
Mhm.
I mean, it's the worst.
Yeah.
I feel like in the US, we're starting to catch up with where Olga has been for a while. And that's like,
Well, yes and no, because you see, Trump is saying there's some rumors.
resume. Right. So we're going to move on to our next step here. Ultimately, we're going to end up painting this, but we are not going to do that this week. We're going to focus on drawing it this week. And as you can see, there's some similarities in this piece that we're working on and the piece that we just drew, which is why I had you do it. It's not quite so regular. So we're going to start with the black and white drawing. And of course, what you can see first is that the road, we can see the horizon. The horizon is like here. I'm just going to draw it. Yeah. Well, anyway, here's a horizon line. I'm skipping the main pieces that are in the front. And then you can see that as we start to sketch in the road has an entire, this emphasis on this piece is really the road, right? It's the road. And the road kind of stops here. But if you continued it forward, it would go to this vanishing point. So the vanishing point for everything is right here. So the first thing I'm going to do, so I want to show you the sketch I did. I did the sketch I did on Tuesday for everyone was on an 8x10 inch, a smaller piece than this piece, which is 8.5 by 11. The sketch I'm going to try here is going to be on a bigger piece of paper. And so the first thing I'm going to do is kind of tape it so it fits more these proportions. Also will give me some room for testing if I want to. So you also, I know you can't line yours up with mine the way I'm doing it, but go ahead and tape yourself up. Give yourself a kind of taped edge because that'll look, as we know, that's going to look awesome. I'm going to kind of tape it over here. Tape it around. On this side, I'm going to pull it in a little bit. That doesn't look straight. Hold on, let me check. That's straight. More straight than I thought. In this particular exercise, getting the exact proportions of everything just right, getting your rectangle exactly like the piece we did a beginning drawing, right, Agatha, like we did last, and Anik, like we did last Sunday, was insane, right? The level of measuring we had to do.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be so intense with this one. But there are details, particularly in the road, that if you don't get these things in the right places, you're not going to be able to get the detail. So the detail is going to come last. Nobody start on the road, what's inside the road, until we get all the other pieces in place. And then the road will feel less intimidating, which is weird, but true. All right, so once you've got your pieces taped, I'm going to show you with little, since this is white and there's kind of a flash, kind of where my edges, my inside edges are. So you can see that. You don't have to do that. Is the horizon line above or below the halfway point?
Tiny bit
once
below?
again.
What?
Below?
Yeah, it's below. If we look at it, significantly below. So maybe, let me just check here. Yeah. Here. And here, we're going to do this in pencil, obviously. This road kind of bends down a little bit. I'm going to straighten it for us. I think it doesn't really matter and it doesn't add much. This guy is a very expressive painter and obviously has a firm grasp on drawing, so he can kind of play around, bend the rules in a way that most people, I don't think, can. And then is this vanishing point towards the center, to the left or to the right? This vanishing point right here, I'll label it.
It feels like 2/5, but I'm not sure.
To where?
To the left.
It's definitely not in the center, and it's definitely leaning towards the left.
Like 40 to 60. More or less.
Yeah, don't tell yourself that. That'll fuck with
I know.
60%. Somebody said to me, I was funny in the drawing class. Somebody said to me something like, she had put like this point way above like what we were drawing last week. And she said, I'll put it up 10%. I'm like, That's not 10%. I mean, 10% of what, right? Like, that's the hard
That's my
thing.
mother speaking.
Yeah, and it doesn't help you here, which is the interesting part. You kind of have to evaluate. I'm kind of testing here and seeing when I do this much, I want to have kind of this much space. I think that's about right. I might move it a little bit. Yeah, maybe scooch it a little bit to the right. What is a better measure when you're trying to figure this out is when you're figuring out shapes like this. Right? So if you don't have this shape right, you've got this thing is not in the right place. Do you get that? So you start to look at this shape and you're like, instead of going 60% of this or 20% or two, sometimes you can go halfway or 1/3. Sometimes it works like that, but a lot of the times it doesn't. So as you're sketching this, you're like, I need this much space to be able to fit all these things in it. And so you start to get better about it that way. And then my road starts, so this is a great example of that. Kind of high enough so that I have this much, so I can create this shape. Oh, I need to bring it up a little higher. And then right below this, I'm going to create a little straight line because actually the road sort of ends there. So it's high enough so that this shape looks right to me and not too wide. I might bring this up, but I'm not sure yet. And then this starts here, which is right before the corner. So here, I'm going to actually even do this so you're not confused. Just close to the corner, but not quite there. Okay, that's all we're going to do on the inside of this road right now. So go ahead and construct that. Let me take a look. We're not going to get back here until for another 30 minutes. Yeah, so remember, Anik, the road ends about here. But yes, that generally looks good. Get your other side of your road. It looks good. Good evaluating. I like it. You're doing great. And I know you're tired and you've already been asked to evaluate a lot. So I appreciate you're paying attention to this shape. I can see you doing that. I can see you doing that. This is the thing about drawing, right? And getting things in the right places. It's less about, when I look at mine, I feel almost like it should come a little bit further. As I'm looking at it now, I'm like, I'm going to move my point here. Let me see, that far? Maybe here. I'm going to move my vanishing point a little bit because what I'm evaluating as I look at these lines that I've just drawn, which I'm now erasing, is that this shape doesn't feel quite long enough for me. So so see how I'm moving it? I'm not moving my starting or my stopping points, but I'm going to move my lines. And then I'm going to put a little straight line here. Yeah. That actually looks better to me. The same here. So I just totally, without much fuss, totally moved my road lines. Do you see how I did that? I was taking my own advice, looking at what that shape looked like. And I'm like, I just need a little bit more space on this side. I have things I want to include. And so you can even see my other erase lines. Let's see. I'm not worried ever. And what I know is that these adjustments are small because I'm working like this. Anything I make, it does. If I was starting to work on the detail of the road and then I figured out that this road was in the wrong place, it would be terrible. So we work these lines first because they're really easy to correct. Let's see. Who just sent theirs in? Agata. As usual, Agata, you got it. Nailed it. Very nice. You have a good eye for drawing, Agata. I have noticed that. You are good at evaluating spaces and shapes and where they should be. Very good. That's some of us have to struggle a little bit more, but you do all right. That doesn't mean you can like let it go. You have to keep it up. But do you feel that this makes sense to you?
Yeah, this type of exercise is relatively easy, but like I did struggle with like last week when we did drawing on the building, I struggled with perspective on the little things because I get the big
that
things.
was hard for everybody.
Yeah.
Really hard. MC, I'm going to tell you to move. Your line is coming too close to the corner. It's almost right there. Move it a little bit, scooch this line a little bit here. See that? Do you see how much more that adds to your road? That's not actually, it makes your road look thicker. And I'm also going to say, I wonder if you're, okay. I'm also going to say, MC, that your horizon is too high. Your horizon line is too high. You should bring it down. Yours is up here. You should bring it down about this much from here to here. Okay. That'll change your lines. So you'll have to erase your lines, but it won't take you long. Trust me, you'll be happy I did this. Later, you'll be happy. And it's okay, because as you noticed, I changed my lines too. I didn't get it right the first time either. And the thing about drawing is you never know until you lay it down if you're going to get it right. The nice thing about painting is you don't always get it right in painting. But sometimes, particularly if you're working with acrylic, not so much with watercolor, it's harder. You can allow yourself to layer on top and correct. With watercolor, we have to be more careful about how we layer because we might lose it. Anyway, notice just little tiny differences like here to here or here to here make a huge difference in these shapes. So when you're sketching these out, you want to make sure, do I have that shape? And you'll notice I adjusted to get because I needed this to be a little bit longer here. The next thing we're going to focus on is our power lines. Let me see how I do this. I'm going to sketch these. So here's the bottom line is really here where the power line, so we don't have to draw this in. But our power lines, I'm going to draw a dotted line that shows it's not the power lines themselves, which bend a little bit, but do you see, right? The power lines are here and here. But this straight line indicates the top of here and the top of here. Let's see. Yeah, doesn't that look better? So funny. It's like just the weirdest little tweaks. It seems like not very much. Nice job, MC. Great correction. So when I'm sketching my power lines, I'm really starting with this line, which once again comes up higher than the halfway point between here and here. I'm going to guess it's about here. That seems about right. Maybe up a little bit. My power line, this dotted line, is here. And I'm gonna draw that. I'm gonna even draw it as a dotted line to my vanishing point. We're gonna have to erase this later. Damn it. There we go. That's my power line. And then my power line is gonna be, and his kind of tilts a little bit, but you don't have to make yours tilty if you don't want to. One is about here. It's very loose though. It's kind of a loose stroke. That's too loose. It's too loose. Right. And then this one is skinnier. It's like here. And then I can sketch in my swooping lines here. So go ahead and add those in. Okay. From this point, then I can kind of add in my lower kind of tree line, which is rising above the eye level. There's this white thing. I'm never even really sure what this is on the right, like that. And then I can get in this kind of far mountain line, and I can even sort of see where that, oh, I forgot to draw this in. Oh, yes, and this, and this. There we are. So now I can get these in because I can kind of see where they go. This comes down here, right? I can skip around my telephone poles. I'm trying to make it as kind of random as possible. I'll get the tree in later. And then this comes up here to about this point and comes kind of right above here. I think it just kind of gets lighter over here. We can't see it. Yeah, it's still kind of, it actually kind of disappears back here, which is a beautiful, it's part of how he's conveying the tree and the visibility of the tree, but also this softening that you kind of know the hill is there, but you don't really see it. Really, really very expressive and quite beautiful. I can also send a picture of this across the, I'm going to do that actually. I want to send this so you guys can see it as well. I'm going to turn this off for a second, just a second, so that you can see it. Okay, here we are. Here is, here is our sketch. So you can look at it up close because you're going to need it for detail. I'm probably going to send this to you several times actually as I add more detail, but here's where we're at right now. So you can see it up close as well as farther away here. Yeah, that looks pretty good, Anik. Pretty good. I buy it.
Thank you.
Or it's so funny, when I lived in Hungary, in Budapest, my Hungarian friends would say, "What do you mean I buy it?" I'm like, and then I explained it to them and they're like, "Oh, we say I eat it."
I do what?
Basically the difference between an incredibly capitalist country and one that goes hungry a lot.
Well, what were their expression?
I eat it.
I eat it.
I eat it as opposed to I buy it. Like I'm like, I buy it.
Okay.
I buy it. I accept that. She's like, what? I'm like, what do you say? And she went, oh, we say I eat it. Actually, the Hungarians had amazing expressions for things. They were they had a kind of melancholy, which influenced everything they did. And so if they wished you luck, they'd wish you a hat full of shit. Like that was the act. What they would say is they shorten it to a hat full of it, but that's what they're actually saying is a hat full of shit. And then when you went on stage, you didn't say break a leg, you said break both your arms and both your legs. It's like what you were saying. Which I think says a lot about the Hungarians. It was so funny. She would say, this friend of mine who was Hungarian but spoke, was English, very good English teacher, English person, speaking person. I remember her saying to me at some point, "You feel the melancholy?" I'm like, how can you not feel the melancholy when you're here? I wish you a hat full of shit and break both your arms and both your legs. It's definitely in the melancholy.
Yeah.
All right, good job. Good job. Are we ready to pop on to the next step? Let me tell you the next step. So the next step is the fence on this side, which is funny because it is a little bit bent. Right? This is basically the line for the fence, and then the fence posts like do this thing, and this is a sign. So we have these lines. Let's see, the front line, the bottom line, which I will once again draw as a, that goes about here. So this dotted line is kind of where the fence is contained. Let's come down a little bit more, right? So that starts, it still starts, here's our eye level, if you remember. It kind of starts down here. And here. This feels tedious at first, but then you realize how much time you save. And then this top line. You can't even really, I'm going to draw these both as like dotted lines because you actually can't really see the top line. There doesn't seem to be much like actual fence beyond this. It doesn't seem like there's wires or anything here. When I look at this piece, you don't even really see much in the way of wires. Oh, and this is actually not part of the fence. It's kind of sitting to the right of it a little bit back further. So this one, you want to like kind of slant that way. And this one a little bit less slanted. And then this sign is kind of rises above the fence because it's actually not in the same line as the fence. And it comes here and notice, oh, I made it too big. I did this when I did this on Tuesday, I did the same thing. So notice I'm saying this because out loud so that you'll know that this is a mistake that can be made because I just made it twice. Right? This is white. And so you want to make sure you make that fence kind of come up a little beyond, and then there's this. And then this kind of goes this way, and this. Oops, that doesn't, yeah, it comes up a little bit, but not very much. So wonky. Ah, I'm right on time. This is great. Let's see. This is your fence post. The first one, Agatha, is a little too far to the left. Move it a little bit to the right. That first one, the one that's on the right, move it a little farther to the right. You can see how close it needs to be to the tree.
Closest, oh, okay.
This is too far. You have too much. See, you started this one here.
Yeah.
So there's just too much space there. Right. And then when it comes, well, I'm gonna wait. The tree is an interesting little bit. So now we've got these details because we've got the tree and we have the lights and darks on the road, and that's where the main detail is. Let's see. Yeah, Anik, you did the same thing.
Well,
Bring this.
don't
This
we
is-
need
this
more
is-
room for the tree?
What? You left too much room for the tree. There needs to be room for the tree. Maybe let's split the difference. How's that? I'm gonna move this up here, and you're gonna move yours more this way. The tree doesn't need as much room as you think.
Mm-hmm.
I see why I see what your thought process is. So let me I'm gonna sketch the parts of the tree that are important for us to get in pencil. So to be fair, I was a little off as well as you guys. We just went off, we were off in different directions. So good job. I'm gonna take a picture of this and send it over. Hold on. I'm gonna turn this off for just a second. Do that. I'm just showing you, well, actually, I should probably show you the whole thing too. I'm gonna give you two views. I gave you a close-up view so you can really see what's going on, and then the view that you can see in context with everything else. All right, so that goes to, hang on, it's coming. Okay. And then here is a close-up, so you can really see it up close. All right, so that's across. So here's the kind of theory behind this pencil drawing we're going to do with this tree. Where am I? Get back to Zoom. Okay. So the theory behind the pencil drawing of this. So see that this tree, this needs to be a little bit, the tree is going to be kind of here and here. I'm going to start by sketching the kind of bottom outer edges of the tree there. And then on this side, up a little bit farther than this here, like that. Okay. And then I'm going to come in here and start looking at these negative spaces. So I'm drawing actually this shape, and then I'm drawing this shape. So it gets easier this way to kind of, we're not going to draw these branches because these are softer and lighter, and we want them to kind of push back a little bit. So we're not going to actually put pencil drawings. We're going to add those in with just paint. Here. I'm going to add this in. Here. Up here. Right? And now I'm coming down. Let's see. It's up to about, now I'm going to do this negative space. This is kind of a key one. And I'm using my other branches to kind of help me shape it. Now I'm doing this shape. So I'm not exactly always going straight from here, left to right. I'm looking at the shapes I can see and convey. And then adding in when I can see easily, and then kind of seeing where one kind of continues. And I'm not going to hold you to exactly, I want you to get as close as you can, but I'm not going to get all, well, you didn't get exactly this millimeter to this. It's not like a building. Right, and then this comes up here. Like that. That's about as much of the tree as we're going to do. And then we're going to, of course, erase these lines that come through the middle of it. I'm going to actually place this like this so you guys can see this pretty well. Notice that the tree is kind of contained within these two. It doesn't go further than these two. So all of a sudden, because we placed all these elements here, this element becomes a little, and we focus what we can see strongly, this becomes a little easier to draw. Not super easy, but manageable, I think. I'll be right back, you guys. Okay. Push this down so you can really see it. Yeah, maybe you could have scooted yours a little bit more. All right, I'll give you that. Too much partying for me. That looks pretty good, Anik. Yeah, looks good. It looks good.
Thank you.
All right. So then that leaves us with the road. Here's where it gets tricky. There's a lot of white spaces here. And you're going to kind of do this same thing. I'm going to try and sketch out as many as I can, but here's where the detail is, right? You're really kind of trying to shape out the white spaces. And there's these lovely little reflections in here. Love these. There's this happening. And once again, this is one of those things, this guy is masterful. I mean, his whole book is called Painting Light and Dark, and you can really see the level of nuance he can put into it. So I don't expect you to get every bit, but see how I'm kind of sketching out the major light shapes? Because of course, this is what we need to kind of avoid painting. So there's that happening. There's these neat kind of light colored and medium colored bushes here. There's a little bit here. There's a lovely, right? We're more just kind of giving ourselves, there's this light back here. We're trying to give ourselves enough rope. And I'm going to send this over. I'll start sketching it and then, well, actually, I'll send it over first. So I'm going to take a picture of it. And so in our remaining, 25 minutes of class, you're going to finish these details, which are the things that would normally send a person to their knees. But I think for you will just be minorly inconvenient. How do you like that? Minorly inconvenient versus, so your life is minorly inconvenient versus a nightmare of detail. And that's because we know where things start and end. You have other pieces of this composition that will help you figure out how to line up your shapes with what's happening. Here, hold on. Right, you've got a lot of pieces of information that will help you see where things are, that will help you place these details correctly. And that's because we saved these details for the last. All right, so yeah. Here. Sorry, I'm trying to get this up here so we can see both. Let's just do this a little higher. So you guys have this with you? So you can see it. I'd like to start this from here. And I'm kind of lining this up with here, the vanishing point. So the vanishing point comes here and then it leans out a little bit. I'm probably going to have to erase a couple of times. Maybe not though. Who knows? Yes, already. I've made this too big. I might miss some of my angles. I'm going to come over to this side now. I'm getting in the lines that are a lot easier to see. There's this funky dark shape. So this is the way you handle detail, which is to make sure you have enough other elements in place, right? That you're not like driving blind, as it were. I'm kind of moving around to dark shapes that I can see. Oh, you need to bring this down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So nothing is a big old, so that this kind of lines up, the top of this lines up with the bottom of that, which means I need to move my sign a little bit over. That's really what that means. There's, if I get tired of working the road, I can always do this stuff, which is a little bit easier to see. So this kind of dark, bushy thing happening here. And then this. It goes to here, another. Kind of adding. Here. There's some stuff happening here. I can see. I got kind of go for the shapes I can see. Almost more, which means I'm kind of moving around a lot. That's down to, this is down too low. That's actually right. Okay, hold on. I don't expect you guys to absolutely get everything right here. I just want you to get close. You're going to see with these parameters that you've given yourself using your vanishing point, that's going to be easier than you think. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be manageable. That's basically our mantra in drawing. We're making it manageable, which means more work up front. Nice, MC. Tree looks great. Good job on the tree, you guys. Great job. Great job. Yay. Wait, who is that? Agata, sorry. Nice job. And nice job, MC, both of you. You nailed that. Nailed it. Looks great. Now let's see how you do in this front section, which is cray-cray, but still follows a few certain rules. Good job, you guys. Now you may be wanting to look a little closer at this that I've sent you. You can also look at mine. Dana, Sandra, how's it going over there?
I'm
I
just
don't-
taking a photo. I dirtied up the background a little bit.
Do you like that?
I am not sure, but I'm gonna send it over. I
Okay.
worked a little bit of the trunks and on the leaves and things around, worked a little bit on the cat, but I have a lot more to do on the cat.
Okay.
But I did.
You know, you do what you can, right? You're in pain right now, so you kind of do what you have the energy for. Sometimes the final detail work is not something that's easy to do if you're distracted
It's okay.
or hurting. I know you're a trooper. I'm just saying you don't have to.
I'm more worried about how I'm gonna take myself out of this studio.
Oh my God.
So I just sent it over.
Okay, let's see.
And then I'll send you my terrible goats.
It's okay. This is the learning one, Sandra.
I know. Looking.
So
It needs
you're
to be
such a
glazed. I don't
trooper.
know how to do it with-
You're such a trooper. And gouache is not your, like
definitely
preferred
not.
medium.
I don't
So,
like the texture.
oh, I love that, Diana. I actually love it. I think it's
Yeah,
great. I think that works a lot. I think it sharpens him. And that may have been what Lotta was trying to tell you. Isn't that interesting? Is like, he just wasn't like describing it well. I love it.
and you think it works now as it is? I mean, the background, or should
Yeah, yeah, I do. I like that background. I think it's beautiful. I think he hops forward much nicely, very nicely. So you subtly pushed it back. Anik, that looks great. We're not going to start painting. Please don't start painting this today because we're going to talk a lot about, but play around with your other guy if you want to work on something else or you want to paint this one. Just play around with paint now. Great work. Did you see how much easier that got, Anik? You
Yeah.
just whipped that out. This is the hardest part. This is where people would be losing their little minds right now.
So Sandra,
Yes.
Sandra,
Yes.
there are a few things I really
Oh,
like
please.
about this.
Really?
The greenery is perfect.
It is. Agreed.
Okay.
The bell around the neck is perfect.
Okay.
And the groin in the back is good, really good.
So basically the places where there are sharp edges, you like it.
Yes.
I want to say, did you see how this started, Diana? I want to say that actually, Sandra, I'm going to pop it up. You did a admirable job of trying to soften, and I want to really credit you for this, Sandra, because this is hard to do. Here, hold on. You softened, dang it. Here, wait, here we are. Okay. here, you did a great job of working to soften those edges.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to turn out, but we knew this was probably not going to turn out the way you wanted it to. But this is great. This
Really?
practice is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it is actually.
It's really great. And I know it won't come to a finished. I wonder if you did a few more defining details like Diana's pointing out, like here and here, maybe in here
Right.
and a little bit here, that if that would do anything. But I want to credit you, this area looks much better than it did. And the brushwork is really nuanced. I love how this light is kind of sweeping over into the medium darkened belly. I like how you softened here, but still kept the focus. I think there's a lot that you got out of this. Yeah, try defining this edge a little bit
Okay.
and see what happens. Since we don't really care, right? Since you've let go of the final result.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, you're letting this be your learning curve. But
My learning
honestly,
curve.
I want to credit you. That's some of the most nuanced brushwork I've seen you do. And I really am impressed that you're able to do it with gouache, because gouache is not the medium you have the most practice in.
No,
So
it's hard.
bravo, 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 bravo.
Thank you. You're being very kind for.
I'm
not very
You know
impressed
me,
with.
Sandra. I call it as I see it.
I don't know. Well, thank you for the positive feedback.
It's true.
But I'm really happy that you're continuing and trying to fix what you can fix, and it's getting better and better.
It is.
Really?
Thank you,
Okay.
Diana.
What about the background? I leave it alone?
Leave it
Really?
alone. I don't mind it at all. It's good. It's not the problem area in any way.
Okay.
Yeah. Practice on the goat. Practice this push-pull of sharp edges and soft edges and defining things to see if you can. Maybe it's possible you might pull it out, but it's okay if you don't, because it's a nuanced practice.
Okay, thank you. I'll continue.
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great. And Sandra, knowing your working process, I appreciate how easy you're being on yourself right now.
Frankly, I think it's so horrible, but it's easy to continue.
You can kind of let
learning
it go.
from it.
It doesn't meet Sandra's standards. That's okay.
No, it does not.
Yeah, it doesn't meet your standards. We're not going to show this to your brother. We're not going to open ourselves up to anything like that. So people like us can see, who know how hard this process is, can see where you made progress. And that's the only thing that's important. You'll apply it to the next thing and it'll be better because of it.
We haven't seen
learning
the
curve
end.
is so
We haven't
hard.
seen the end result yet. So
We haven't seen the end result.
No, and I am working with gouache, so I can go over mistakes.
We haven't seen the end result. That is true. Good job.
Thank
We've
you.
got about 10 minutes, and you guys, I have a meeting across town, so although if Diana, since Diana can't
No,
move,
no,
maybe
actually,
make her
I
the
have to work in
host.
10 minutes now, you remind me.
Oh, really? All right, so great work.
I could stay a little bit, but
Okay, I think we're gonna stop. Well, no, we'll wait a little bit longer, and then I'll pass it on to Diana, if anybody wants to stay on a little bit longer and work on this. How is that road going for you guys? Are you noticing it's a little bit easier than you thought it would be? It's not totally easy, but you have things to grab onto with your eyes that you've already established that will help you make this an easier drawing.
Yeah, it got easier, I think, but I had to restart a couple of times, and then I actually started from the top and then from the bottom,
Yeah.
and then I connected them. So
From the
I
inside,
tried
right.
going
So
from the
for me,
bottom
I
and
often do
everything.
better. Perfect. That is exactly it. Great description. So I want to tell you guys that the last thing I want to say about this is that I had a student on Tuesday who they did the same exercise. I kind of wondered at the beginning, is this too hard? But I thought, actually, it's a good practice. And what she told me, the word she used, which I kind of resisted, she said, yeah, it's like you're drawing along and you're doing the measuring, and then all of a sudden you can get more intuitive. And I said to her, I don't think that's the right word. but it really depends on what you mean by the word intuitive. Intuitive is a word that gets misused all the time. And so I want to make it clear that this is not intuitive. The idea of intuitive is that you're not caring where things go. You're just letting them go wherever they are. It's important when you're doing certain kinds of abstract work. But I don't see this as intuitive. I see this as you have given yourself parameters and guidelines, and you can check yourself against them. Like Agatha said, I tried twice. I started from the bottom. Then I realized it was easier to start from the top, right? Which makes total sense. So to me, that's not intuitive. That's not something that you always had inside you and you knew how to do it, right? You're not really thinking about it. That is analytical. Right? You're able to analyze this space more clearly. So I was like thinking as I was trying to, I want us to be clear what we're doing when we're doing it. Don't, it's easy if something becomes easy for you because you've done all the definition work to say, oh, I just knew where it was. But that's not true. You used a process, and I want you to be able to name that process and understand what it is, right? You set down the bigger pieces so that this smaller shapes would be easier to do. You have the outside parameters. You have things like this that can tell you where things start and end. It's, let's see. Ah, nice, Anik. Love it. Love it. I love that expressive, beautiful. Add in a kind of sagey green somewhere. Flash it in there at some point. I think that would go really nicely with those colors. Very nice. Beautiful. So I want us to be clear on that because we need it's like grammar, really. It's like the grammar of the visual world. You need to understand structure, even if it's not fun to describe it or understand it.
You're abandoning your forest painting?
Cool. Me?
We're not
No.
doing the, oh, you mean the acrylic one that she's working on?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No,
She
it's
was just
here.
having fun.
Oh,
It's
it's
here,
coming
Diana.
That looks great,
along.
Agatha. Great.
Oh,
You got
wow,
it.
it's coming along, Annie.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm really enjoying painting it. It's just like amazing. And the fact that I'm using my biggest brushes for it, it's even better.
We're proud. That is some good nuance. That is some professional decision making. I'm going to stop the recording here.